Hey, what's up, my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor and I help people navigate through their awakening process. And today I'm going to share with you 6 ways that you can raise your vibrational frequency this month. Briefly, I would like to explain what I mean by that, because the idea of raising your vibration is thrown around quite commonly now, and I want to kind of explain what I mean by that. I have a very simple definition for raising your frequency, and that is to become more of an embodiment of your potential. Real simple. It doesn't have to be very mystical or new agey. It's just simply you becoming more of your potential. And whenever we go through real challenging times and just challenging experiences, and when we're having a rough month, like many people are right now here in August of 2017, that's actually a golden opportunity to do a lot of personal transformation. So I just want to kind of share with you 6 things that I try to do during these windows. One of them, maybe the most challenging one of all, is to allow yourself to feel crummy. When we go through struggle, when we are challenged, when we are stretched outside of our comfort zone, our body becomes filled with very unpleasant emotions. And I don't care who you are, no one enjoys feeling that way. And there's a part of us that is almost desperate to not feel that way. So it's just very hardwired into most of our psyche and conditioning to do whatever we can to escape from the unpleasant states of being that are brought on by these life challenges. And yet, that's not really the wisest. That's more of a short-term and ineffectual solution, rather than it's not really a solution at all. It just it's a temporary illusion of distance that we can create by distracting ourselves in whatever way you do. I have my own. So to allow yourself to feel like crap is very hard, and yet very powerful, very healing. It allows those emotions, it gives them a validity and allows them to pass through and out of you. If you're feeling a certain way, it's because you're supposed to. There's a message there, and if you can just allow yourself to sit and do nothing and say, okay, I recognize and accept I feel frustrated, I feel doubtful, I'm very annoyed and irritated and spiteful. Fine. I'm going to feel this way for a few. And you'll be surprised at how quickly you feel better when you accept how you feel. And also, again, it will allow the emotions to move through you without you holding them down. Hence, in absence of those, your vibration will naturally become higher. Your vibration wants to be high. It's trying to be high, and it's the most efficient way is for it to press to the surface all of those uncomfortable emotions that are obscuring it. And if you can allow that to happen, which again is easier said than done, you will raise your vibration a lot. Number 2 is to take quick action until completion on your inspired thinking, your divine downloads. A lot of us we have times when we are lit up with an idea, something that we can do or want to do, or some sort of direction we want to take, and that feeling is so awesome, and then it goes away. And we feel that the absence of it is implying that we don't need to be pursuing it. The timing's not right because that feeling is gone. But those feelings are just, they're seeds. And it's up to us to water them And sometimes in watering those seeds, it can actually bring forth the challenges and the challenging emotions, which is why so many seeds are being cast right now over all of humanity, and not many are actually being tended to and watered and allowed to grow into a beautiful tree that's going to provide the world with a lot of beauty and oxygen and so forth. But the journey you take in watering those downloads and seeds is perhaps the fastest way to raise your vibration, because that is your true self calling to you, saying, hey, I'm over there waiting for you at this potential that I'm giving you a little bit of a glimpse of, so you can start making your way towards that. But again, along the way, the connection with that vision, it comes and goes. The challenges are oftentimes kind of grueling and intense. They can be, so much so, basically, so you can raise your vibration to match that. Anyways, it's really hard to do. A lot of people are after a special 1, 2, 3 formula. What's a special mantra I can say? That doesn't really do much. It's the real hard stuff that we all hope to avoid that actually will raise your vibration to where it'll become evident in your demeanor, your personality, your aura. People will notice. You will notice. You will have a different energy about you. But in doing so, we have to sometimes do these difficult things. Number 3 is to clean up your diet in some way. I was a personal trainer, and I could go off for a while on different tips for different nutrition tips and so forth, but realistically, that's an individual journey that everyone's kind of in a different place with that. I could say do this, this, and this, but that might be not really much of an improvement for these people. Or I could say do this, this, and this, and that's just too far-fetched, there's too much of a gap to bridge from here to there. So I'm going to provide you with just one simple tip that I think will be helpful to most people, generally speaking. And that is to only eat real food. Don't eat the bullshit. Just cut out the bullshit. Cut out the non-foods, the foods that you find in boxes that are processed and unnatural to your human body. If you could live off of real food, even if it's not the right macronutrients, the ideal macro split for you, or your calories are a bit off, or you're eating too much of this and not enough of this, you're still going to be light years ahead of most people. And your body will, even though for a time you might crave that junk food or the processed food because it's got quite an addictive quality, once that's gone, you will kind of come into more of a balance with your true taste preferences and what your body actually responds to. Whereas if you're putting in the food-like substance that comes in the form of processed food, it can really distort those signals to the point where you'll crave those. But that's sort of a synthetic craving rather than what your body naturally resonates with. When you cut out the bullshit, you'll be able to, again, discover what your body actually prefers. And then it can be kind of an intuitive dance with your diet. And in doing so, just in having a healthier physical vehicle, you'll be able to house more of your spiritual energy. Number 4 is to be who you want to be, not how you presently feel. I'll give an example. That's a bit vague, and I touched on this yesterday, but I'm going to go deeper into it because it's so important, and I think it's a theme this month. So it was, what was it, Saturday night. It was almost bedtime. I have 3 children, by the way, and they're fairly young, 8, 4, almost 4, and almost 2. And my eldest daughter, she has a lot of her buddies, and she plays with her friends a lot. And sometimes I can sense that she like misses me because she's out with her friends so often. Anyway, so we were like sitting there. It was like pretty much close to bedtime, and I was tired from the day. I was exhausted actually, and I had like some plans I had to do that next morning. And my daughter wanted to do like a sleepover where we have a couch that folds out into a bed in the living room, and she wanted to do like one of our sleepovers. But I'm like a bit neurotic with planning things. I like to plan. If I would have had that on the calendar for a few days, I could have kind of wrapped my mind around it and planned for it. I might not have exerted myself so much so I wasn't so tired and so forth. But in the moment, I knew as a father that was what she needed. I could sense that she wanted to like have a connection with me, and it was you can't really plan for those things as a parent. But inside, I was resisting, like, I don't want to do that. It's not right. I need the rest. And there was all this like inner turmoil. It felt like I wanted to do it. But I questioned, I know this sounds maybe like a simple scenario to you, but to me at the time, it was pretty intense. I wanted to do it for her. I could sense that's what she wanted, but part of me didn't. I wanted the rest. I had stuff I had to do and I didn't plan for it. So there was this incredible internal strife. And I felt, I said, you know, I was honest with myself initially, like, you don't want to do this. You don't owe it to her. She just sprung it on you at the really inopportune time. And no. So they kind of went into bed, and I didn't go in to say goodnight yet. And I just sat there on the couch, like wrestling with myself. And I finally concluded that, you know what? I don't want to be so calculated all the time. It's good to plan, but I don't like, here's a situation where it's kind of working against me. I wish I was more spontaneous. I wish I could do those kinds of things on the fly and be more like flexible. So I chose, in spite of how I felt, to say, hey, Maya, come on, dude, let's do it. I surprised her, and we did the little sleepover. Even though it felt so against the grain and out of alignment for me, I wanted to change. And the way I changed is by doing in spite of how I felt. I took action from the perspective of how I want to be. And I know from experience, when you force this a few times, that inner conflict and resistance will cease and lessen and eventually dissipate to where I will actually become naturally how I want to be. But it wasn't easy. I really battled with myself quite a bit, and it was a very forced decision. But once I settled in and we started kind of hanging out, I felt like I knew in my heart I had made the right choice, and those emotions started. It was almost like I just needed to prove to myself that you can be flexible, Vic. And once I did that, it was like quite an inner victory for myself and for my daughter. Number 5 is to control your input. Our consciousness is absorbing input every second of our life. And not all of it, obviously, is conducive to us being a higher vibrational person. In fact, there's a lot of very eye-catching, stimulating, attractive, addictive sources of input out there that have the opposite effect, that keep us in a state of longing and agitation and fear and anxiety and worry. But it's so attractive and so bright and so flashy that we find ourselves obsessing with it all. But a real quick way to raise your vibration is to really be strong and cut out that bullshit and then control your input. Okay, if I'm not going to watch 2 hours of the news and get myself worked up all night, or spend a half hour on Yahoo News in the morning and start the day off feeling petrified of what war is being started where and so forth, and what they're putting into the water and that kind of thing. That's a void. As much as a lot of us, I think, would like to just sit and do nothing and be at peace, most of us are not there yet. So it's a matter of, what am I going to fill? What kind of input should I be putting in? Well, that's up to you. What do you think will benefit you? I'll give some ideas. What I do, I wake up every morning, I take a quick shower, I meditate for a little bit, and then I read. I read something that's going to add to me in some way, that's going to make me more knowledgeable in something I'm trying to learn, something that's going to help me maybe gain some wisdom, or just expand me and make me more of an empowered human being. I got my little Kindle here. I'm reading this book right now called The Leap. It's by a psychologist who also has been working with people going through an awakening, and so to me it's like fascinating. It's given me a lot of awesome ideas of just things I can talk to you guys about, and it fills me with joy, not bliss, not ecstasy, but it's a very pleasant experience, and this is an investment in myself. I also listen to audiobooks. I have my little headphones here. I just connect to my phone, and right now I'm listening to this book by this freaking like badass Navy SEAL with his last name I think is Wilco. He's like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, just a well-recognized, I want to say a war hero. I'm just getting into it. But he's an incredibly inspiring man, and it's all about leadership. And it's just, that's something that helps me when I'm driving my car. I listen to that. And that's just the kind of stuff I do. I don't tend to watch, I have eliminated things that, again, don't really do anything for me and have a negative effect, and I've replaced them with positive sources of input. That's why I'm always reading. That's why I don't really go on Facebook very much and that kind of thing. I'm very protected of what seeps in to my consciousness because I know the effects it can have. So simply turning off your TV and picking up a good book, that's a good start. Number 6 is don't be afraid to pause your forward movement and go back through things in your life that need to be reevaluated and looked at. Sometimes the astrology can be very supportive of that, but it can very oftentimes interfere with our mind's agenda and what it thinks is ideal. Sometimes that does not really, that's not the wisest path forward, even though it seems like it would be. Sometimes it is best to stop your project that you're trying to progress and give energy and attention to things in your life, pre-existing structures and systems and behaviors or whatever, that you're starting to see in a different light and realize could be modified. That can seem like a pause in forward progress, but it's actually not, because as you modify and clean up what you've already created, you can go forward faster with less self-sabotage and problems that can be maybe caused down the line if you ignore what's going on right now. What I'm saying in a very roundabout way for some reason is that sometimes we have Mercury retrograde, which is a horrible time to start new things and to push new things forward, but it's an amazing time to go back through your life. Go and redecorate your apartment or reorganize your laptop or however that means to you. It can seem like, oh man, like I have all these things I wanted to do, now I feel kind of bad I'm not doing them, but I really feel like this disorganization is bugging me. Do it. Unbug yourself by working with that. That's actually a very good thing to do. And when you do it, sometimes the energy will support that kind of activity, and you can really revamp and clean up your life very, very quickly. And lastly, I wrote these 6 things out like a couple hours ago when I was going for a walk not too far from here. And as I was passing by this woman, these 2 women, one of them was much older, probably like in her probably mid-70s or so. And then this other one might have been her daughter in like her 50s or something. And I was walking by and I could sense that they were a little bit like, not off-put, but like not, they kind of had their assessments of me. You know, I have tattoos, I have my sunglasses, I wear black, I kind of walk with like a strut or whatever, you know, with like intention. But what I did when I walked by them is I gave them a nice friendly smile, even though I could tell they were a bit like weary of me. That's maybe the better word. And when I did that, they had this look of surprise and they lit up and they had this big smile. So what I'm trying to say is be really nice to people. That's, in my opinion, maybe the most spiritual thing anybody can do, and yet it's a completely unemphasized aspect of spirituality. People will ask me, hey man, I want to learn how to astral travel and lift out of my body. How do I open my third eye? How do I see auras? Fine, great, that's fine. But I would say, why don't you go out there and be nice to people? That's the best way to raise your vibration and elevate yourself and spread light into the world. So I try to do that as best I can. I like to smile at people, I hold doors for people, and I'm just really courteous to people, especially if they're in a shitty mood and I can tell they're having a bad day. Sometimes it's even directed towards me. Sometimes, sometimes you can't help but give out your bad vibes to people. We all do it, me too. And when it seems directed at you, it can be incredibly difficult to not, put up that front, that wall, and judge them in your mind, and at the very least not be nice. But those situations when someone's doing that and you can still be nice anyways, you will be amazed at how you can transform that person's mood, because it'll make them very hyper aware that they were kind of being an asshole, and this person here is being nice to me anyways, that you know what, not all people suck. And I think it brings people out of their festering mind and into their hearts in a very powerful way. Now, I don't do this with perfection. There's been many times I slipped up and responded with my own attitude, but it was not that long ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I had a situation where I did that, where someone was kind of giving me what I perceived to be attitude and negative energy, and it was kind of wronging me, where I felt like a resentment or a resentful attitude was justified. And I allowed that to kind of influence my behavior. But then I saw the energy it created in both people. And it's just, it's like the negativity really can spread very quickly. So I took that as a lesson to stop doing that, no matter what, as best I can, not do that. And lately, it was not too long ago, like a few days ago, I think, someone sent me a really shitty email, and it was like talking about, like, I have like a free ebook I give out, and he said, well, I was disappointed, blah, 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 blah. I was desperate, all this like negativity for like a free book I wrote, And anyways, it pissed me off, it bothered me. But I did not respond to that email. I responded the next day, explaining exactly how it made me feel. I said, you know what? I found your words hurtful, and you might not realize the potency of your words, and it's not easy. You might not understand my perspective, but it takes a lot of hard work to put yourself out there and write a little ebook, that kind of thing, And it wasn't like you shouldn't have wronged me. It was just an honest expression of my feelings. And the person responded right there, or a few minutes later, and was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize it had that effect." And anyway, it turned their attitude around in a pretty big and impactful way. And I've had that similar type of experience many times over, with a very similar scenario, with like negativity I get because I'm out there on the internet. It's inevitable, and as best I can, I try to respond with kindness. So, anyways. That's super hard. It's super easy to kind of put that on the back burner and focus on stuff that doesn't require that much inner challenge. Like, again, like I can meditate on my third eye all day, but that's kind of easy. It's just kind of a simple thing to do. But those little simple deeds, I'm finding, are more powerful than I ever thought. So anyways, I'm getting hot. The sun is out now. And I'm gonna bounce. I can see this video is already like 25 minutes long. I did not expect that. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you for watching. We will be in touch. Have an amazing day. I wish you all an amazing month. And with all of the suggestions I said, with all honesty, I don't apply them with anywhere near perfection, but I work at I do my absolute best to do them, and that's all I can really do, and that's all you can do too. So if you slip up and you break any of these things I said, don't feel bad about yourself. Just try it again tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. So with that, I will close. Peace out. Have an amazing day. Love you all. Namaste.